we are right back into the action for another day of the week. Welcome to the Friday edition of Chasing That Paper, presented by VegasInsider.com. And not quite flying as high as I typically am here to open the program. Did obvious reasons last night. You guys know I'm one of Tua's biggest supporters, one of his biggest defenders. And pretty rough scene there last night in Cincinnati, so I'm happy to hear that he is doing well in the short term. So we'll get into more of that after we discuss our best bets here for Sunday. So let's bring in my co-host for the day, the sexiest hunk in all of Manhattan. Look at him with his $60 haircut there. He is the man. He is Iain MacMillan. Haven't checked in with him since Monday, so Iain had a great week there in week 3. We had a great week on the show last Friday. We went 6-0, so we're going to try to replicate that. Of course, it is the return of the Greasy moneyline parlay as well, looking to bounce back there on that one. We're going to discuss what we saw last night with Tua and the Dolphins. Absolute PR disaster for them. And the NFL there. How we doing, Iain?
Not too bad. Golfed all day yesterday, actually, so I'm slightly to moderately hungover, but that's okay. I got a coffee here. I'm ready to go. I'm excited for this week's NFL slate. Woo!
Yeah. Had Iain said totally hungover, I'd say, Iain, well, that's a little unprofessional, but hey, we're supporters of beer drinking around here at Chasing That Paper. So enough chit-chat here, Iain. Let's get right into the action. Our best bets for Sunday. I'm going to hit lead off here. Maybe the sexiest game of the day here. We got the Bills in Baltimore taking on the Ravens. This game has a total of 51 points. Boom! I am on the over. Let's get right into it here. So dig into the stats for this one. Look at these teams. First and fourth in yards per play so far this season. First and third in points per game, each averaging over 30 points per game. Buffalo great on third down. Baltimore great in the red zone, each moving the ball with ease through the air. Some concerns for each defense here, too. Baltimore 31st in yards per play allowed, despite playing the Jets and Patriots in 2 of its first 3 games. These teams are god-awful in the red zone, 27th and 31st in red zone defense. Expect TDs, not FGs. And is this a game where the Bills' beat-up secondary gets exposed? All beat to shit versus this high-flying offense in Baltimore. Not a good spot. And great protection for each quarterback here. Second and third in QB pressure allowed. Get Lamar and Allen into those DFS lineups. Looks like a good spot for a shootout. Baltimore, give me over 51. Iain, what do you have for your first best bet here?
Yeah, I'm looking at the NFC East showdown between the Dallas Cowboys and the Washington Commanders. Going to lay the points with the Cowboys here. Before the season started, I predicted that the Commanders would be a bottom 5 team in the NFL this year. I even bet on them to have one of the worst records, to finish with the worst record in the NFL. And I got to tell you, Joe, this team stinks. In the first 3 weeks, they've played the Jaguars, Lions, and Eagles. Not exactly top-tier competition, but yet they rank dead last in net yards per play, 29th in yards per play, 28th in opponent yards per play. That is not good. And now we have an absolute mismatch with the Commanders' offensive line and the Dallas pass rush here. The Cowboys are getting a sack on 11.5% of opponent dropbacks, and the Commanders are allowing a sack on 10.34% of Carson Wentz dropbacks. Also, by the way, speaking of Carson Wentz, he's a bum. We all knew that. But I mentioned last week, Cooper Rush, not as bad as a lot of people assumed he is. And now he's 3-0 as a starter for the Cowboys. So I would take Cooper Rush over Carson Wentz. I would lay the points with the Dallas Cowboys.
Cooper Rush 3-0 in his last 3 starts. Trend of the year there in the NFL so far for the Cowboys. Yeah, I absolutely love that one, Iain. I am aligned with you there. Okay, next up, I'm going to go back to the well on the over in a Lions game, this time coming in at 48 with the Shithawks in town. So each of these defenses just radically incompetent. We got the stats to back up that statement. 29th and 23rd in yards per play allowed, 29th and 24th in opponent third down conversion percentage. Detroit is last in red zone defense. Seattle last in yards allowed per pass attempt. These teams played on January 2nd last season. They combined for 80 points in that game. Tim Boyle started for the Lions. Average combined score of 62.6 in Lions 3 games so far this season, easily going over in all 3 games. And interesting stat here for the Shithawks. Geno Smith, the highest completion percentage for quarterbacks with at least 100 attempts. That's a sample size of 19 quarterbacks there. So, yeah, I love the over there in Detroit with Seattle. And Ian, what's next for you, buddy?
My moneyline underdog alert. Moneyline underdog alert. I'm getting aggressive this week. It's a little bit of a heat check, but give me the Jacksonville Jaguars on the money line to upset the undefeated Philadelphia Eagles. Plus 235 are the odds for this bet. I talked about how betting on the NFL is kind of like the stock market. You got to buy low on some teams, sell high on other teams. And what team is a better sell high candidate this week than the Philadelphia Eagles? We need to calm down on crowning this team the NFC champions already. Their first 3 games, yeah, they looked impressive, but they played the Lions, Vikings, and Commanders. 3 teams who would have combined 18-32 last year. 3 teams who all missed the playoffs. So I think we all just need to settle down on the Eagles. Are they good? Yes. Are they as good as people are saying? No. And the Jacksonville Jaguars have done a few things really well that I liked through the first 3 weeks. Mainly, first in pass protection, allowing a sack on just 1.77% of Trevor Lawrence dropbacks. If they continue to give him time to throw, he's going to find open receivers. And then the thing I like the most about the Jaguars' defense is their red zone defense. 6th in the NFL in red zone defense, allowing teams to score a touchdown on only 42.86% of red zone trips. So, hey, it's a heat check. It's aggressive, but I'm going to take them, the Jaguars, to upset the Eagles on Sunday.
Yeah, maybe the most interesting game of the week there. You know, the Eagles really haven't played good competition yet this season. We're going to find out, are the Jaguars good competition? So from maybe the most interesting game to most likely the least interesting game, we got the Bears in New Jersey taking on the Giants here. This game has a total of 39.5. I absolutely love the under in this one. Let's get right into it. So look at what these offensive lines are doing. 32nd and 31st in QB pressure percentage allowed, 23 total sacks combined. Each of these teams, most likely as a result of that, each struggling to move the football, each in the bottom third of the NFL in yards per play, third down conversion percentage, yards per pass attempt, last and second to last in pass plays of 20-plus yards. So no big chunk plays from these teams. And the Bears are clock suckers, extreme clock suckers indeed. This clock will be moving. Chicago running on 65.4% of plays. That's easily the highest percentage in the league, more than 10% higher than the next closest team. The Giants running it at the 7th highest percentage. And interesting trend here, the under 12-1-1 in the Giants' last 14 home games, 10 times in that 14-game span that they failed to reach 40 combined points with their opponents. So give me the under in that one. Ian, what is your final pick for the show today?
Yeah, I'm going to look at the marquee matchup between the Kansas City Chiefs and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Super Bowl rematch from a couple seasons ago. I'm going to take the Chiefs in this one. Now, full disclosure, I got the Chiefs at -1. The line has moved 2 points the opposite direction, to my surprise, so you can get them at an even better line at +1 right now. You can take the Chiefs as an underdog. How about that? Main thing here is, let's talk about this Buccaneers offense. 27th in yards per play. That is fewer yards per play this season than the New York Giants. That is fewer yards per play this season than the New York Jets. That is fewer yards per play than the Chicago Bears. Woo! I know the receivers were hurt or suspended last week, Mike Evans, but even when they had them in week 1 and early in week 2, this offense has not looked good. I think Tom Brady's days are finally numbered, my friends. The time is finally here. I love it. And also, don't underestimate this Chiefs defense. Listen, I shit on the Chiefs defense all offseason, but they've been very good through the first 3 weeks. They actually rank 5th in opponent yards per play, just 1 spot behind the Buccaneers defense, who rank 4th. And finally, this is not a little area that we don't usually talk about when handicapping here, but let's talk a little special teams action, specifically punting. The Kansas City Chiefs ranked first in the NFL in net yards per punt attempt at 49.5. Now you might laugh, this is stupid to handicap punting, but I actually think it's extremely important, especially in games between two of the top teams in the NFL here, a game that should be very close. If you can pin this Buccaneers offense back deep in their own zone on a consistent basis, that's going to give the Chiefs a significant advantage here. So Chiefs, best punting team in the NFL. How about that? I'll take them. I guess +1, but I got them at -1. I'll just take them to beat the Buccaneers on Sunday.
Gee, punting stats. I love it. No other handicapping show is giving out punting stats. That's why chasing that paper is number one. Okay, the number one most controversial bet type in all of sports. It is the Greasy moneyline parlay. And of course, it blew up in our face last week. We were 1-1 on these, and people quite upset about last week's result. And we had people last night, quite a commotion outside my house. I have one of those Ring doorbell alarms, and yeah, the military needed to be brought in last night. This was footage from outside my house last night. People pissed off about last week's Greasy moneyline parlay, looking for one this week. So we're going to try to find the people a winner, and we have an absolutely beautiful one here for you guys. It's only 4 legs coming in at +125 odds. Let's get right into it. We're going to start things off with Michigan, the Wolverines, -410, taking on an Iowa team who they destroyed 42-3 on the road last season. I expect the foot to firmly be on the gas after a lackluster win versus Maryland last week. Next up, Alabama. No reason for a breakdown there for an Alabama team that has just 2 regular season losses in their last 4 seasons. And we go to Cincinnati, -330. Bearcats 16-2 in their last 18. Only losses as an underdog. That came versus Arkansas and Alabama. 3 straight wins over Tulsa, by the way, who has some serious blocking issues. And we'll wrap things up in the NFL. The Packers -425 with the beat-up Patriots in town. True home field advantage for Green Bay. 21-1 in its last 22 regular season home games. The defense allowed a league low 16.3 points per game at home last season. Now they get either Mac Jones, who's battling a severe high ankle sprain, or Brian Hoyer in what looks to be a bad Patriots defense. Great spot here. Greasy moneyline parlay coming in at +125. Get back to our winning ways there. Hopefully. So there you have it, guys. 7 total picks. If you're looking for a place to place these bets at, I recommend placing them over at BetMGM. Let me tell you a little bit about them. Kick off the pro football season with the king of sportsbooks. Sign up with BetMGM using bonus code VIBONUS. Your first wager is risk-free up to $1,000. That's VIBONUS. All one word, no spaces. Your first wager is risk-free up to $1,000. Visit BetMGM.com for terms and conditions. You must be 21 or older. BetMGM, the king of sportsbooks. There we have it. Jamie Foxx, still haven't heard back from him. So, Ian, we got to discuss what happened last night. You know, I wish we weren't discussing this. I wish we were discussing a Dolphins victory. Kind of a tough spot for them. I did expect them to lose, but that's not the story that came out of the game. The story out of the game was Tua being carted off on a stretcher, for God's sakes. And I'm going to approach this from a bit of a different angle because I think we're all pretty much aligned on what we saw in the situation as a whole. But I want to discuss the reaction to what happened. And, you know, you log onto Twitter and you see everyone pulling out their medical degrees and their law degrees to diagnose the situation. And the attack mentality of Twitter was out in full force. The Dolphins had to pay. The NFL had to pay. We want answers. Well, taking a few breaks from that occasionally to celebrate their prop hitting. But the point I'm trying to get at here, guys, is we can't have it both ways, because this weekend we're going to be celebrating a highlight reel KO in the UFC when a fighter gets their head kicked in, a college punter getting blasted on an attempted punt return, a catcher in Major League Baseball getting run over at home plate. But hey, as long as no one gets hurt, right, then we can all have a good laugh about it, make some GIFs, make some memes, and celebrate these things. They can go viral on social media as long as no one gets hurt, right? But I'm not painting everyone with the same brush here, but I do think that there's quite a bit of hypocrites out there, and we cannot have our cake and eat it too. Now, as for the situation as a whole, Iain, I guess my question is, who's not telling the truth and why? Like, what is the motivation of the independent neurologist for the Miami or for the NFL and the team doctor of the Miami Dolphins? Did they conspire together at halftime to let Tua back into that game? Did they lie to Mike McDaniel? Was Mike McDaniel in on the lie? Was Tua in on the lie? Hey, let's go with the back injury excuse, even though there's that pretty awful visual of Tua stumbling to his knees after getting knocked in the head there. Why didn't the NFL step in between Sunday and Thursday from a PR perspective in the court of public opinion? This is a god-awful look. I don't know if there's some type of conspiracy here, but at the very least, it's gross incompetence at the absolute highest level. So, Iain, what do you make of the situation there? The Dolphins can never be attached to a positive headline for very long. That's Dolphins fans can't have nice things. Those first 3 weeks were fun, but now the team's about to go through a major shitstorm here. So, Iain, what are your thoughts on what we saw there with Tua last night and the situation leading up to that with the Bills on Sunday?
Yeah, I think when people see things like that, I think a lot of people just have an emotional reaction and they want to get angry at someone, but you don't really know who to get angry at. I think kind of the only thing I can say is sometimes shit happens. I mean, shit does happen in these sports. Guys are going to sometimes get some bad conkies. Now, this issue where they called it a back issue from the week before. I mean, who really knows, Joe? Because we're not in those locker rooms and we're not in the meetings with the doctors and with Tua. So I think for anyone to have a very strong stance on this one way or the other, I think it's a little disingenuous because, like I said, we don't know. Maybe there were professional doctors who did clear him. Maybe he did pass all of the tests that he had to pass. And if he did, then, like, what, are you going to hold out a guy who, even though he passed every single concussion test that they had for him before the game? So it's a complicated situation. We don't know all the answers. So that's why usually I try to stay quiet on these things, or at least if I have an opinion, it's not a super strong one, because we're not in these meetings, Joe. We're not next to the doctors. We're not even doctors ourselves. And I just think in general, sometimes shit happens. And unfortunately, the shit that happened last night was bad.
Yeah, tremendous answer from me in there. I'll let things play out here. It's not easy as a Miami Dolphins fan. As you know, I was flying quite high those first 3 weeks, but the Dolphins tend to be attached to quite a few negative headlines over the past year and over the past decade in general, for God's sake. So I hope Tua is okay, man, because, things are starting to come together for the young guy. And that franchise, they haven't handled him well as a whole. And leading up to this situation, just absolutely brutal. But yeah, I think there's a lot of questions to still be asked. What is the motivation of an independent neurologist if there is some type of conspiracy? Is this guy putting his reputation on the line and just flat out lying about what he saw at halftime at the Bills game last Sunday? I don't know about that. So we'll let things play out here, then come up with more firm opinions, I guess. But we probably won't see Tua in action anytime too soon. But hopefully we see him back at some point this season, and things are okay for my guy there because he's a good dude. Okay, moving on. If you love what we do here at Vegas Insider, you're going to want to check out the brand new Vegas Insider app. We've got up-to-date, easy-to-navigate odds for every major sport. We have all our latest shows, best bet videos, and podcasts, props, trends, futures, news, all on the Vegas Insider app. Download the Vegas Insider app right now on Apple and Android. Bet better with the Vegas Insider app. Sometimes it's a bit awkward, Iain, when you're trying to do a transition to one of these live reads. But hey, you're going to want to check out that Vegas Insider app, everybody. All right. Let's move on here to the viewer picks segment of the show. Picks from the CTP crew. These guys are giving us winners every day. So let's see what we got here. Jason Jantz weighing in a little bit of MLB regular season winding down. Can't wait until playoffs. He likes the Braves first 5 innings plus half a run there. I think that's around minus 135. Love home teams getting runs first 5 innings. DeGrom, yeah, he's given up 3 or more earned runs in 3 straight. Max Fried on the mound. Three or less, three or fewer, Jason, to be fair there grammatically, in 9 straight. Playoff type atmosphere with marquee pitching matchup should favor the home team as well. Yeah, I don't mind that. I could see the Braves leading 2-1 at the end of 5, or being tied 1-1 or 0-0. So not a bad look there from Jason. What do we got next, Tito? All right, the Bills. We'll get your opinion on this one, Ian. You know I like the over. Benny, third and Ben. Give this guy a follow. Bills off a loss all but once last year, answered decisively. Only outlier was OT loss in Tampa Bay. When they win and blow teams out, defensive mismatch, Bills D is much better in many key stats. That is true. Projected to get some injury help back. Ian, did you have a pick on the spread for that game?
Yes, I am on the Bills as well. I'm with third and Ben there. I know the Bills have injury issues on defense, mostly in the secondary, though. And let's not forget this Bills team is very good at stopping the run, and that's what you got to do to kind of beat this Ravens team, I think. So, yeah, I like the Bills, but certainly should be a close and fun game to watch.
Okay, finally, Obi knows. This guy.
Obi.
Yeah, Alabama. First quarter, -4, and first half, 9.5. Sneaky little bets here, perhaps. So he's going back 10 years. Big trend-heavy bet here. Bama covered both numbers at Arkansas, opening as a 17-point favorite all 3 times, 2012, 18, and 2020. First quarter, 5-2. First half, 7-0. Both home and away. Same line versus Arkansas. First quarter, 18-4. First half, 20-2. Bama road favorite in SEC matchups. Best of luck. Yeah, I don't mind the play. I'm not necessarily, like, when I handicap, I don't do much college as a whole, but even with the NFL or whatever, I don't know, be careful about going back to 2012. Much different team. Obviously none of those players are still on the squad. Similar coaching probably, but what do you think of that trend betting? You see this quite a bit and I've probably been guilty of it too with college football. And it's like, well, Ohio State's won 20 of the last 22 games versus this team. And you're going back to like the 1990s.
Yeah, trends are always kind of like a little cherry on top, I think. I don't think it should ever be the main thing of your handicapping. I think it should always be stats-based first. But it's not. It doesn't hurt to toss on a little trend at the end as a little cherry on top to sweeten, to kind of close the deal for your pick. So, I don't hate it. But yeah, going back to what was it, 2012 or something? Yeah, I mean, especially in college, there hasn't been a guy on Alabama from that team since like 2016. So, it's kind of tough in college.
So you're going against the Ravens here this weekend. You like the Bills, Ian. Probably the most polarizing player in the NFL. He's off to, or one of the most polarizing, is Lamar Jackson in the contract year. He's off to a great start. Lamar Jackson-like. What's your opinion on Jackson as a whole? My kind of opinion is, okay, this guy is fantastic right now. But if you give him the 8-year, 10-year contract, is he going to be running around like that when he's 33, 34 years old? I don't think that there's too many examples of that in the history of the game. So what do you think of Lamar here and the long-term prospects for his career?
That's a complicated question. I was kind of low on Lamar Jackson because the last 2 seasons he didn't look great. He kind of regressed. He's back to kind of his old ways this year. But I mean, he is like his passing abilities this year are looking pretty good, completing 63.6% of passes, 10 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. So if I was the Ravens looking to whether or not I want to lock him in long term, I would be just evaluating how he is with his arm, because he might not be able to run around as much in his later years, but I think he'll still be mobile enough to move around the pocket. Even when he gets into his 30s. So that's kind of what I'd be. If he continues these kind of throwing numbers, I mean, who else are you going to get a quarterback? That's the thing, too. It's so hard to find a guy to be your quarterback in the NFL. I know it's a little risky signing him to this massive deal, but, like, what else are you going to do? Go to the draft and hope that you get another guy in the next couple of years? Like, you have a guy, you might as well stick with him and ride it out.
Yeah, he's on the verge of making the Ravens look absolutely silly by not paying enough money. Similar situation to Aaron Judge with the Yankees here, right? But yeah, let's hope Lamar can stay healthy and play in all 17 games this season would be nice to see.
I will say really quick, though. I will say
yes.
Lamar Jackson needs an agent. He needs to stop being his own agent. That never works out well, and I think that might have been part of the issue why he's not signed to a big deal yet. Dude, get an agent. You're not an agent. You're a football player. So hire someone to do that work for you, please.
Yeah, Lamar Jackson not coming off as extremely savvy in that regard. Bring an agent in and get some big bucks there. Lamar. Okay, so it's time for today's Handicapper Heat Check presented by VegasInsider.com. Your home for the best expert picks in the business since 1997. Today we recognize Chip Chirimbus, who can be found on Twitter at Chip Chirimbus. I hope I pronounced that correctly. Chip hit 7 straight college football winners, bringing his season record to 20-8, hitting 71%. Save $10 on any of Chip's college football packages by visiting the link in the description below. The $10 discount will be applied during checkout. So there you go. Go check out, see who Chip likes this weekend in college football on fire to start the season. So, Iain, you moved into a new apartment in Manhattan. Are you willing to give out the exact address of where you live right now live on Chasing That Paper?
Absolutely not. I'll say I'm in Hell's Kitchen, though. I'll give you the general area, but no, I'm not going to give out the exact address. It is an apartment building, so even if I did, though, you won't be able to find my unit. But hey, I don't want to get people waiting out in front of the apartment waiting for me to come out, though. I deal with enough paparazzi as it is, Joe.
What's your phone number, by the way?
I wish off the top of my head, I wish I knew your phone number so I could give that out right now instead. But unfortunately, it's hard for me to even remember my own phone number. Nobody looks at phone number. Remember back in the day, you remember people's phone numbers, like your friends' phone numbers, and not so much anymore. I still remember my childhood best friend's phone number though. It's stuck in my head 29 years later, or 20 years.
I don't know my wife's phone number. Honestly, it's programmed into my phone. If I lose my phone and I'm at the side of the road somewhere, I'm completely screwed.
So
I should get that tattooed. I don't have a tattoo yet. Maybe I'll get my wife's phone number tattooed on my arm here. So I'm off to play some mini golf here shortly. I'm bringing my 2 sons out for a little bit of fun in the sun. Well, it's still here. Any tips out on the mini golf course today?
No, just take it as seriously as you possibly can. I'd recommend taking your own putter. I'd recommend dressing in full golf attire. I'd recommend getting angry when you miss a putt. That's the best way to do it. So just take it as seriously as possible. It is a life or death situation.
Yeah, we will be playing with pride and we will be playing by the rules. Absolutely. So, Iain, anything to plug? I know you got a lot of stuff on the go there, so let us have it. What can viewers look forward to from you that's already out there?
Yeah, the NFL Week 4 episode of the Bacon Bets podcast, my best bet for every single game, is officially live now. It was delayed this week because I was moving. Also, it took a while to get up on Apple Podcasts, but it's up now wherever you get your podcast. So check that out. I'm not working today for Betsided, but Betsided is doing a live stream at 4 p.m. Eastern with Reed Wallach and Donovan Smoot, today's episode of Daily Bet Slip. So check that out as well, and check out the Bacon Bets podcast.
The Bacon Bets podcast, you're going to want to check that out. Iain breaks down his bets for every single game. I break down my best bets for every single Sunday game. A little segment here on the Vegas Insider YouTube page called 30 Seconds or Less. I rip through the board and make picks for every game in 30 seconds or less. So you're going to want to check that out. You're going to want to check out Vegas Insider on Twitter. Make sure you are following our Twitter Spaces going down about an hour before kickoff there on Sunday. So you're going to want to check that out. If you're on YouTube right now, do me a favor. Give this video a like. Hit the subscribe button right down there. Guys, good luck with your bets this weekend unless you are fading us. And as always, keep chasing that paper.